Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. If you're a fan of coins, history, or just interested in rare collectibles, then today's video is just for you. We're diving deep into one of the most iconic coins in US history, the 1983 1-cent coin, or as most of us know it, the penny. But this isn't just any penny. We're going to break down its historical significance, why the 1983 penny stands out, and what its value is today, especially in today's numismatic market. So, buckle up, and let's get into it. Section 1: The History of the U.S. 1-cent coin. Before we focus solely on the 1983 penny, let's take a brief look at the history of the U.S. 1-cent coin. The penny has been a cornerstone of American currency since it was first authorized by the Coinage Act of 1792. The first 1-cent coins, also called copper cents, were minted in 1793, and over time, the design, materials, and size of the coin evolved. Fast forward to the 20th century, and the U.S. Mint was producing pennies made from solid copper. But by the 1980s, there were significant changes on the horizon. Section 2: The 1983 U.S. 1-cent coin. In 1983, the U.S. Mint made a dramatic shift in the composition of the 1-cent coin. The rising cost of copper, along with inflation and budgetary concerns, led to a major decision. The penny would no longer be made entirely of copper. Instead, it would be composed of a copper-plated zinc core, a change that fundamentally altered the appearance and feel of the penny. Pre-1983 pennies. Before 1983, the penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. 1983 pennies. Starting in 1983, the composition was changed to 97.5% zinc and just 2.5% copper. The coin was coated with a thin layer of copper, which gave it the familiar reddish hue, but now it was far lighter and less expensive to produce. So, in 1983, we see a significant change, not just in the materials, but also in the coin's overall weight. While older copper pennies weighed 3.11 grams, the new 1983 penny weighed just 2.5 grams, making it lighter and cheaper to mint. Section 3: The 1983 penny's design. Now, let's talk about the design. The design of the 1-cent coin has been relatively consistent throughout the 20th century. But there are still key design features we associate with the penny to this day. The obverse side of the 1983 penny features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. This design has been in place since 1909 and remains one of the longest-standing designs in U.S. coinage. The reverse side of the 1983 penny, like most pennies minted since 1959, shows the Lincoln Memorial. This design was created by Frank Gasparo and has remained relatively unchanged for decades. The 1983 penny doesn't feature any new designs or commemorations, but it is a pivotal year due to the composition change. Section 4: Why is the 1983 penny special? Now that we understand the historical context, let's discuss why the 1983 penny is so special to coin collectors. The main reason lies in its composition. While the new zinc-based pennies were minted in massive numbers, there was an interesting phenomenon that occurred. Some of the pennies produced in 1983 didn't get the memo. The 1983 copper penny. Yes, that's right. It turns out that in 1983, a small number of pennies were accidentally struck with the old copper composition. This was a significant minting error, and those rare copper pennies are incredibly valuable to collectors today. If you happen to find a genuine 1983 copper penny, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's dive into how these pennies differ from regular 1983 pennies. Section 5. The market value of the 1983 penny today. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. How much is a 1983 penny worth in today's market? Well, this depends on the condition of the penny and whether it's one of those elusive copper-era coins. Let's break it down. The standard 1983 penny, made with a copper-plated zinc core, is worth its face value, 1 cent. These pennies are relatively common and can be found in circulation, so they don't hold much numismatic value. In fact, the U.S. Mint produced billions of these pennies in 1983. Here's where things get really interesting. In 1983, a small number of pennies were mistakenly made with the original copper composition. These are considered era coins and they have significant value in the market. As of today, the value of these 1983 copper era pennies can vary widely. In general, but the most prized 1983 copper pennies, particularly those in pristine, uncirculated condition, can fetch even more at auction, up to $10,000 or more. Keep in mind that the condition of the coin, the rarity of the era, and provenance, the coin's history of ownership, all play critical roles in determining its market price. Now, let's take a moment to understand why these pennies are so rare. Section 6. How to identify a 1983 copper penny. So, how can you tell if you have one of these valuable 1983 copper pennies? Here are a few tips to help you spot an era coin. Copper pennies will have a distinct reddish-brown color. If your 1983 penny looks much darker or has a different hue, it could be a sign of a copper coin. 2. Weight. Copper pennies weigh 3.11 grams, while the zinc pennies weigh 2.5 grams. You can use a scale to check the weight. 3. Sound. Copper pennies have a different tone when dropped compared to zinc pennies. If you have a keen ear, this could help you out. 4. Look for a professional grading service. If you believe you have a rare 1983 copper penny, consider having it certified by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. If you have a rare 1983 copper penny in your collection, don't hesitate to get it appraised by a professional numismatist or submit it for grading, as it could be worth much more than its face value. To sum up, the 1983 1-cent coin is a unique piece of American history. While the regular zinc-based 1983 pennies aren't worth much more than face value, the rare copper-era pennies are highly sought after by collectors. With the right condition and certification, a 1983 copper penny could be worth thousands of dollars. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the 1983 1-cent coin and want more coin-related content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Have you ever found a rare coin like this? Drop a comment below and let us know your experience. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time with more fascinating coin stories.